Despite the presidential address, protesters returned to the streets of Lagos, Kaduna, Zaria, Jos, and many parts of Abuja on Monday. One of the fundamental demands of the demonstrators is the restoration of the fuel subsidy. But as it stands, there is no signal that the president will grant that wish. Can the return of fuel subsidy address the worsening cost of living crisis in the country? How should the president handle this issue? We get to find out from our guest here in the studio, who is a political analyst who is widely traveled, Abdulkareem Santuraki. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. You're welcome.
Yes, as I said, Nigerians are still on the streets as of today, and they are taken to public property. Is this worrisome? And what does this mean to the polity?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I think we need to appraise the situation that reached to the circumstances we are in.
Okay.
Now, the president, on the day of his swearing in, without even occupying the executive office, just made a pronouncement in the air. Subsidy has gone. Now, there's no cabinet, no advisors he has not even made. The cabinet was not consulted because there is no cabinet. He has not occupied the desk to even sign an executive order. I don't know whether he consulted the parliament before airing that reckless pronouncement. Already the country is long in the problem of this free market economy. Now, what President Tinubu did was seal the casket by that singular pronouncement. And that threw away everything haywire with the dollar. Now, the quagmire here is that even if, as at this moment, that subsidy is returned,
which is one of the demands of the protesters, restoration of subsidy.
Things will not go back to where they used to be.
Things will not go back?
It will not, unless other measures are taken.
But nobody is talking about any other measure, because people believe that restoration of fuel subsidy will automatically change the narrative.
It will not.
Okay, what do you think will change the narrative?
The whole thing, the same courage President Tinubu summoned to make that reckless pronouncement, I think he should also summon another courage and call the bluff of IMF and World Bank. Remove zero from our currency.
The naira.
The naira.
Meaning 1,000 should become
100 naira.
100 should become 10 naira.
10 naira. And then that will now bring down the purchasing power of the currency. Because as it is now, the naira is floating in the air because of that singular action.
It has no bearing.
No bearing. And things are already going up. Now, having to do that pronouncement needs for him to also send to the parliament a legislation to amend the deregulation decree or law, which will allow for what we call guided deregulation.
Guided deregulation.
Yes, which will now allow the government to set up a price control to check arbitrary inflation of things. And that also has to go with not only that, the nature of human survival is on supply and demand. As it is now, we are undersupplied.
The system is undersupplied.
Undersupplied.
And then it is forces of demand and supply that determines, determine prices.
Yes,
indeed.
Exactly. So if the supply is the supply is high, you don't need anybody to even bring down his prices because the competition will be there. We have a very precarious situation. In a situation where you said you are in a country like this, with our macroeconomy, pretending to engage in a macroeconomic policy, which now removes government intervention into some things. Now, by that, a lot of things have been creating an oligopoly. How do you expect a country like Nigeria in a situation where you have only two entities responsible for some commodities? Only two commodities, sugar and cement. Only two. How do you expect a country like this, with 200 people to survive on that? It's a fallacy.
Okay, before we go far, this issue of redenomination of the Naira and then calling the bluff of IMF and World Bank, US, and this thing. Is there a correlation between this thing that you said and the Russian flags we see flying all over? Because people are still confused as to at what end these protesters, got the guts to start showcasing the Russian flags. People are trying to, put 1 and 2 to see whether they will make some sense.
I don't think there's anything to put there other than there is dejection. The government has failed. This protest, these young people gave almost 1 month notice that they are going to do this. Nobody said, the president ignored them.
And you can see, even tell us there, we had that some of those, the tellers making the Russian flags have been apprehended. But who actually asked them to do it? I don't know whether security agencies are asking questions around all this.
What is the role of security? We are dealing with a mob action. People are frustrated. They are protesting. There is no reason for protest. You don't control anger of the people when they are protesting.
Is the government wrong to have allowed things to get to this level? Do you think government should have done something to avert the protest?
Exactly. Earlier than that. The president never did anything until 1 week to this protest, when he called on the emirs, the traditional rulers, separate meeting with them, and a separate meeting with the ulamas and pastors. And what did they discuss? No, nobody knows. There's no issue. Up till now. Up to today.
But we had them. Maybe he begged them to come and plead with Nigerians, which they have done.
Have you heard any plea from anybody? Nobody said anything, which means there was nothing discussed.
But some clerics said that it is haram to actually protest against leadership and all that. You think maybe that is at their own volition?
Even the imams have different opinions.
They recapitulate.
That's right. We are not in Islamic state. We are running a democracy. Democracy allows the people to vote the president. They also give them the people the right to say, we don't want what we are doing. This is what we want you to do. And the power of them, they have the power also to remove the president if he refuses, through their representatives.
But some people believe it is too way ahead to contemplate even removing the president. Because the parliament is actually allegedly in his pocket.
Nobody is even praying to get to that. All the president needs to do, the address he made was nothing. Almost 3 of the paragraphs I read were threats.
To the protesters?
Yes. They don't need that. They need appeasement. They are hungry, no food, and you are threatening them. And the threat you are making, who caused even the mayhem that is happening?
Who caused it?
I believe it's the government. Because there is no way people that are hungry will come and loot a shop. When you have a chain of policemen just following the protesters and even harassing them, instead of lying in the streets where there are government properties or shops or this is, stay there. If the protesters are passing, if they see security there, they will not enter. But you concentrate the police to harass people that are demanding for their rights. That also will give you this is, and we know the attitude of the police in this country, how untrained they are, how overzealous they can be. Started shooting. Why are you shooting? Even you are shooting to kill, not even to deter this. You cannot make credible deterrent out of an incredible action.
It will not work.
It will not.
You stayed in Jos for a very long time, and until last night, you know, Jos or Plateau at large was seen as an example of how protest should happen. But we woke up with a curfew in Jos against what earlier obtained, you know, in other places like Kano, you know, where you had mayhem.
Honestly, until yesterday, I was very impressed of what is happening in Jos. So all of a sudden, we work with this. And I still maintain the position that interference of the government is what is causing this. What is the need of the curfew? These people are already, they said they are coming out. They are demanding what they want. You are doing curfew, asking them not to come out. So which means you want to kill the
protesters.
The protest. So that will embolden the protesters to also react.
Now they have reacted because the reports we have is that they are full-blown out, you know,
yes.
In most of these places where curfew, you know, was imposed. What is the implication of this now? Government said, okay, stay at home. Protesters say, no, we must go out. What is the implication of
it? The protesters' initial decision is that they will occupy a place and stay. Okay, you will say you are making curfew. Okay, if they refuse to move, they will stay there. This is our house. So what do? What next? If they occupy the street, you said you are doing curfew, they are not moving.
But they are on the street.
They are on the street. So what do you achieve?
Reciprocal chaos.
What do you achieve? Nothing.
Now going back to your first statement that Tinubu should redenominate the Naira. Do you think it will align with the expectation of IMF, World Bank? Because many people who critically read the speech believe that IMF, World Bank, they will be happy with that because he said he is standing by the position he took.
I still maintain that position of redenomination because it is the creation of the World Bank and NF.
And he should call them out.
Call them out, call the bluff. The IMF and World Bank are using economic theories. Economic theories are not meant as a static position. What changed in the narrative was the Washington Consensus, which was the handoff of IMF, World Bank, and U.S. Department of Treasury, which until the 1980s, there was nothing like Washington Consensus. We're working on theories, mostly Keynesian theories. In fact, that theory frowns at deregulation because it hurts the survival of the people. Now, already, we are not saying it happened now. It has happened before. We have been in it since. What we are trying to find out is how do we now adjust? But President Tinubu now, the coffin was open, the casket was open. He now sealed it.
So it's a serious problem. But this thing you are proposing, has it happened anywhere and it finally worked for the people? Redenomination, partial deregulation, and then having price control.
It is part of economic theories. It is there. What we just did was we chose what we want to do because we want to punish our people. If you don't want to do that, there are other theories you can take. The regulation has two denominations. There's full deregulation, there's guided deregulation. If you are using guided deregulation, it does not exempt government from interfering in this. But if you are deregulating at most, you cannot tell somebody who you say, go and buy your things how you want. And then you tell him how he's going to sell. It's not workable. But if you are using guided deregulation, it gives you the chance to put price control,
which will help the poor. Now, we are seeing the protests beyond Nigeria. In UK, of course, different reasons. You can see in Bangladesh, the president fled. Can we say this is actually a universal phenomenon?
That is very good. Very good. You bring this question. Did you watch this in Europe, in London? Was there no looting? Didn't they loot things? There's no way you expect mass action without any sort of.
But they are seen as civilized or more civilized than our
But still,
people.
You don't tell if somebody is hungry, he asks for food. You said, okay, wait, come tomorrow.
So if you are to write Tinubu's speech, maybe in a sentence or two, what do you think you will say that will appeal to Nigerians?
What he needed to have done was to come out, address those issues, 5 issues.
Floating of the naira.
The subsidy removal, floating of the naira is my idea. It wasn't in the protest there. But I'm providing it as a solution to because even if the subsidy removal is reversed today, things will not go back the same way. Unless certain measures are now taken. And the major I think that will work is the denomination of the currency to give more value to the naira, which means you can now purchase things with lesser exchange rate. People will get hurt. IMF, bank, they will feel bad. But the survival of the people is most important to the president than World Bank or IMF because they are in America. They are not here. You cannot expect to an economy to rely on a situation, on a market in Washington or New York.
To work in Nigeria.
Ignoring what is happening in Onitsha market, Sabongari market in Kano, Dugwe market in Ibadan, and Maiduguri market. It doesn't make sense.
All right, thank you very much. Malang Abdulkareem Santuraki, elder statesman, political analyst, widely traveled, and someone who has worked with the government here and there. Yeah. We thank you for coming to the program. We hope we have opportunity to have you again.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Yes, and viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative, and be sure to join Daily Politics airing every weekday and our special package on Friday, during which we open the telephone line for you to comment on national issues. Stay safe, don't be violent in showcasing your issues. Bye-bye for now. I'm Hamza Idris.